My name is Steve Hosey. Currently, I'm the area director for CBMC Fresno, which is Christian Business Men's Connection. I'm also an alumni of Fresno State University, where I played the varsity Division I baseball there for 3 years back in the late 80s. Born and raised in California, and Fresno's been my home for coming up on 40 years now. Today, I was extended an invitation to come talk to the Black students here at Washington Union High School. I was honored that they offered this opportunity to me, and I accepted just an opportunity to come out and share my life experiences with them, to encourage them as well, and just to let them know that people in their community can make a difference. They can make it if they put in enough work, they do the hard work, do the things the right way, they can be successful as well. Yeah, just in the time that I got to speak with them, letting them know to work through their strengths, to work hard, be honest, take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. Those are the things I really want to leave them with. But, I had another thought, especially for my athletes and the guys that are in high school and the girls, is just kind of slow down a little bit, maybe on the personal relationships. Don't be so in a rush to go deep on relationships at this age. You have a lifetime to get there. And you want to make sure that you're mature enough emotionally to be able to handle, relationships that go deep. So, if there's one thing I wish I probably could have told the guys before I left, is to slow down when it comes to the personal relationships at this age, especially when you're engaged in trying to be the best student you can be, to be the best athlete you can be. That takes a lot of time out of your day. It takes a lot of emotions to deal with. And quite frankly, a lot of these guys and gals just aren't ready for that at this age of their lives. Parents, I gave you a shout out today. I told the kids to be respectful. But parents, you too got to be respectful for them, right? I know you work hard out there. It's not easy. Don't ever think you have to do it alone as well. There's other parents. Come along, other parents or other family members or teachers, people at the school. I've seen it, and I know. I grew up in a single family home, and I've looked to see in the face of my mom at days when she just felt like she couldn't do it anymore. You can do it. I want to encourage you that you can do it. Find some good people in your life that you can come alongside of, or that can come alongside of you and do the best you can for your children. You've done something right to this point. Right? You've done something right. You may think that, hey, I'm not a great parent, I'm doing my best, but you've done something right to get your kid to this point. So continue on, encourage, because you can do it. I do a lot of work with FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I come out once a year to speak with the guys here at Washington Union, the FCA. So the sports and my faith are two things that are paramount in my life right now. My family, of course, number one, my faith, and the sports, just being able to share those things. So FCA is a big part of my life. CBMC, Christian Businessmen's Connection, is a great part of my life where I get to spend time shoulder to shoulder with men to encourage them, to disciple them, to mentor them, and if necessary, coach them through situations in their lives where they need that extra support. So those things, if you get an opportunity to attend one of the events, whether at FCA or CBMC, I welcome you to join in my support of those organizations. Thank you that I get a chance. I thank God every day that He has me where He has me now in this season of my life. Thank you to Washington Union for giving me the opportunity to come on out and to share with these students today. I couldn't be more thankful to come on out and share what God has done in my life with them. So thank you.
I don't know if you guys realize it, but today we have a treat. Okay, it's a reason this gentleman is sitting behind the panel by himself. When we get a Fresno State legend, there's no one else sitting up there with him, okay? For those who don't know, this is Steve Hosey, okay, former Fresno State and Major League Baseball player. All right, I'll give you a little bit of his history and his introduction here. So Steve Hosey has been a small business owner and former Major League Baseball player. He has a deep commitment to the Fresno community because of the impact our community had on him when he was a young baseball player at Fresno State. Although Steve grew up in East Oakland in a single-parent household, Fresno has been his home, and where him and his wife decided to raise their family for the last 30 years. Our community had such an impact on Steve that during his Major League Baseball career, when he played and coached for the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland Athletics, Steve and his family made Fresno their off-season home. In addition to this, Steve has served in his local church for over a decade in leadership positions and provided mentorship and guidance for young families in our community. In 2019, Steve and his wife Deborah both graduated from Life Pacific University with degrees in Christian ministry and leadership. Steve is now proud and humbled to serve as the new area director for Christian Business Men's Connection Fresno. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Hosey.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at some of our questions here. So we heard a little bit of your background and your introduction, but if you would like to go a little bit more in depth, tell us a little about who you are.
Sure thing. Thank you, first of all, for having me. It's an awesome privilege whenever I get a chance to go out and share some of my life experiences and what God's doing in my life right now. But just to elaborate more on my background, I did grow up in East Oakland. I grew up in a single-family home with my mom and two brothers. And if I told you I'm the smallest one in my family, you probably wouldn't believe it, but I am. I'm the middle guy on the runt. That's why I had to play baseball. Both my older brother and my younger brother are basketball players. When we're done with this, I'll tell you who my younger brother is. You might get a kick out of that. But anyway, love me some sports, man. Love baseball. And that's what brought me here to Fresno many years ago, was my love of baseball and Fresno State giving me an opportunity. So just a little bit more on that background is how I came to be here, and I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when we hear anything about the TAM, the question sometimes comes up. So how does Fresno compare to East Oakland? Are there any similarities?
Oh, absolutely. I have some friends that grew up in this area here, and it's not too dissimilar in East Oakland where I grew up. The biggest thing that I tell people about Fresno and Oakland is that Fresno is just geographically spread out. We kind of get from A to B down to Blackstone or Shaw or Herndon, stuff like that. But man, Oakland is just really congested and tight. But we loved our sports in Oakland, and particularly our basketball. One of the guys, I played not only baseball, but I played basketball in high school. Played with a couple of guys who were Division I, and then guys in our league, which is a very small league. We had, I think, 4 guys played in the NBA: Gary Payton, Greg Foster, Antonio Davis. So, we took our sports serious, and I was just the baseball guy on the side.
So as I look around, we got a few athletes in the room, a few. What advice would you give athletes here in our room?
Work on your strengths. So if Steph Curry's in the gym, everybody knows who Steph Curry is, right, at Golden State. Do you think he's in there working on his rebounding, or you think he's in there working on his post-up move? He's working on what's going to be his bread and butter, his greatness. The other stuff, I'm not saying deny it, don't shy away from it, but the things that you do best are the things you have to lead with in athletics. If you're a good quarterback, then be a good quarterback. Don't try to be a bunch of other things. And I tell people, as a baseball player with me, I had a good arm, I could run, I could hit the bar, put the ball a long way. No sense in me trying to get on the mound or trying to catch or trying to do things that were not my strength. So in any sport that you do, develop your strength, know what your strength is, lead with that, and take that to the highest possible point that you can. Become great at that skill.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to ask some questions here from our BSU president in her absence. So many people don't necessarily go into a profession knowing everything they are wanting to do. What inspired you to go into the profession you are in now, and how did you get there?
Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning now. Rick, thank you so much. It's a great question. So when I first came to Fresno, of course, I was baseball first, and I tell people we are told to be student athletes. I was an athlete that kind of went to school sometime, and I'm just being honest with you. But when I was there, I had an interest in real estate, and so I started my initial college pursuit in the field of real estate, business real estate. So when I was done with baseball, that's where I went back to. I went back to real estate. And a good friend of mine who I'd grown up with was interested in real estate as well. He had some opportunities here in Fresno. We both had opportunities to go back to Oakland, but we decided we wanted to stay in Fresno and start our business here. And so real estate was great to me. I had an opportunity to do a lot of different things and aspects of real estate. You name it, I did it. Flipped homes, developed homes, real estate, rehab homes, commercial development, shopping centers, did a little bit of everything, and it was great. But it was a passion of mine, and I tell people today that I am in act 3 of my life. The first act was baseball, as I've already mentioned. I loved it. And God said, hey, you love baseball? And I said, absolutely. He said, go have it, all you want. And I did that for all my life, all the way up until I was in my early 30s. And then I transitioned, says, you like real estate? Love me some real estate. And then I did that and transitioned to it. And when I got to the third act, it was like, okay, you've pretty much given me the desires of my heart. I love baseball. I love real estate. And I said, Lord, what do you want me to do for you now? So I say all that into, as you decide the things that you want to do and you're looking at different options, find something that you love. Don't go into something that you don't love or don't care for. And I understand sometimes you got to do things just to make a dollar and make a living. That's called responsibility, and I get that. But if you can find an opportunity to go into something that, number one, you're uniquely skilled to do and that you love to do, that's where you put your effort. Put your effort into those things that you love.
So I've heard you mention it a couple of times, and I just want to be sure our students are catching what you're throwing down. Real estate. Everybody understand what he's talking about when he says real estate? What are we talking about? Housing. Okay, property. Whether residential, where you would live, or commercial, okay, where you may put a business in. Okay, he's dealing with the real estate.
Yeah, so I was just sharing with Mr. Randall earlier before you guys came. One of the developments I had a privilege to be a part of was an office complex in Palm Bluff, Fresno, off of Herndon and Ingram. And we actually developed a 10,000 square foot office space where we had our offices. We leased out the rest of it. And we named the building after our local judge, Judge Hugh W. Goodwin, who was the first African-American judge in California, right around the corner here. And so we did that in honor of him. That was just one of the projects I did. Has anybody ever been to the Vallarta Shopping Center on Clinton and Weber?
Absolutely.
I'm a part owner in that as well. But that's not where I started. Not where I started. That's down the road, but it takes a lot of hard work to get to something like that. But those things can be achieved, but you got to stick with it. And you got to do what you're good at. Me and my partner, we had a plan. He was good at some things. I was good at the other. He did what he did. I did what I did. At the end of the day, we saw results. So again, lean into your strengths whenever you talk about doing anything in this life.
So did you ever second guess or have concerns about going into the profession you're in? More specifically, being black going into the field you're in?
Man, great question. So I'm going to start with real estate with that, right? Being in Fresno, there wasn't a lot of African Americans in real estate development or brokerages. My partner and I, Terrence Frazier from Oakland, an old teammate of mine as well, we were in uncharted territory. At the time when we started as investors, we were the only two African American guys out there doing it. One thing I learned right away is that I had to be above reproach in everything that I did. And if you don't know what above reproach is, it means unquestionable in your work ethic and your ethics of how you're doing things. You do it right, so no one can question you. Now, part of my job with the real estate company was to make sure the contracts were all done right. Right? Like I said, we all had our roles. And when a contract came and I treated people fairly and right, it had to be that way. My partner and I understood this because we knew we would come under more scrutiny if we didn't. The first time we did a bad contract with someone, or if we would put something out, or someone said, hey man, you cheated me, that would have been it. That would have been it. They would have turned their back on us. People wouldn't have wanted to do business with us. It would have been a harder road. But because we understood that we have to be better, if you want to just put it out there, we have to be better. We have to go over and above. My paperwork on my contract had to be lock solid. There couldn't be any ambiguity. There couldn't be any swerviness. There couldn't be any, oh, hey, you left this out. It had to be ironclad. And that's what I did, and I was good at that. And so, yes, there were some concerns, but at the same time, part of my reason for being in Fresno was because people recognized me for what I did on the baseball field. People recognized me for my work at Fresno State on the baseball field, and they welcomed me. I got opportunities because people would say, hey, that's Steve Hosey that played for the Fresno State Bulldogs. And he went to play for the San Francisco Giants. Doors were open to me because of that. But I know that I had to always still walk with integrity and do things the right way. I took advantage of those opportunities, and you can too, but you can't go in it lighthearted. You can't go in there thinking, I have a bunch of opportunities. You got to look at it as I have this one opportunity, and I'm going to take advantage of that. And if I get another one, then that one. Opportunities do not knock at your door all the time. You may look at other people and go, why they're getting it and why I'm not, and blah, blah, blah. That's just how life is. So when you get an opportunity, you have to make the most of it.
Absolutely. So, being in real estate, being a businessman, you're having meetings, I would take on a pretty regular basis. What would you say in regards to the time that you should arrive for a scheduled meeting?
Oh, well, I get that from my sports background. And it's simple as this. On time is late. On time is late. I learned my freshman year at Fresno State baseball, coach said the bus was leaving at 11 o'clock. But if the coach got on the bus at 10:45, the bus left. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I get it. On time is late. So I learned through baseball that you cannot show up for an 11 o'clock meeting at 10:59, 10:58. If you're not there at least 10 to 15 minutes beforehand, you are already in the hole. You don't want to be there. You don't want you wasted your time. Now, yes, things happen, traffic, accidents. That just means you got to leave a little bit earlier. But if you're showing up for interviews and jobs, and you're not there 10 to 15 minutes beforehand, you're already behind.
How many of you guys got more than 10 tardies? Don't raise your hand. So, that's the reason I asked him that question. So when Ms. McDonald and all the other supervision staff is trying to hustle you and tell you, hey, get to class, be there on time, this is the result of being there on time. And I'll also throw in, I asked Mr. Hosey to be here by 12:45 so our AJ could do an interview with him. At 12:35, he was here. 10 minutes before I asked him to be here, 30 minutes before you guys even got out for lunch, he was here. So he practices what he preaches. Get the places on time, guys.
Yeah, and again, this is real life. I'm telling you, because I've had to hire people. In my office, in our real estate office, my partner and I, we always targeted athletes because they knew what it was to work hard. We targeted baseball players because they knew what it was like to fail. So it's not like I'm telling you this from an idea, but it's real life. I had to hire and fire people, and I watched when they showed up into my office. So yeah, this is true. This is not something that you read in a book. I'm telling you from real life experience. You need to get there early. Don't show up on time. If you're on time, you're late.
Perfect. All right, so as an adult now, why did you decide to come back to help the Fresno community?
You know, like I said, I alluded to it a little bit. The community was good to me, right? I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but Fresno State loved their Bulldogs, and they loved me. I did a good job for them. They loved me. I got opportunities here. Now, at the time of growing up in Oakland, when I transitioned to Fresno, the other part of that was that my mom and my younger brother left Oakland and moved to LA. So I didn't have much left in Oakland at that time. I had some friends, but they were going off to college and some other things. And my family was in LA, and I liked Fresno. And I decided I would get opportunities here, and that's why I stayed. And wherever I decided this was going to be my home, where I was going to raise my family, then that became my community. And when it's my community, I care about my community because I want to be in it, I want to live in it, I want to be safe, I want to have good things, and I want my family to be safe. I'm going to give you just a little example. I owned a property, a rental property, several throughout the years, and one of them that I had, it was vacant. And I had guys that would kind of come in the neighborhood and try to break in, go have parties there, do this, do that. One time, of course, the neighbor called me and said, hey, man, they're back in your place. And I said, okay. I called the police, and I go over there. And they rounded up a bunch of teenagers, just like you guys, teenagers. They kind of scattered, but they caught a couple of them. And the police had asked me, hey, what do you want to do? And I said, well, what can I do? I mean, you guys can't arrest me. You can't do this. I said, let me talk to him. And I talked to him. I said, look, I'm just like you. I came from exactly where you came from. When you do this, you're stealing from me. You don't do crimes and do things where there's not a monetary damage or you're just not taken from someone. Because now I got to go replace this sliding glass door that costs $1,000. I got to go get this wall fixed. I got to go get this fixed. I said, you're basically robbing me. I said, I would love it if we're just in the neighborhood and if somebody was trying to get in my property, you guys call me and go, hey, Mr. Hosey, somebody's messing around with your property again. right? And I'm like, great, I'll be over there. Let's keep it all clean. We want our neighborhoods, wherever you live, to be clean, and not someone go in there and beat it up, tear it up, have parties, graffiti it, causing damage. That's not good for anybody. That's not good for anybody. These things that people do and teenagers do, they think, oh, there's no consequences and this doesn't cost anybody anything. Yeah, it costs money. It costs money, and guess what? Now I'm out $2,000. Now that little trip I thought I was going to take next weekend, I can't do that now because some kids like said they want to have a party in my place. So there's always consequences, guys. Think about that, because when you own something and you own your own property or investments, you're going to think the way I think. You're not going to want people to come in and just do whatever they want with it because it's going to cost you money. So think about that.
I'll give you an opportunity here. You don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. Are there any political endeavors in your future?
You know, there was. Back in 2019, I actually ran for Fresno County District Supervisor number 2. It's the seat that's currently held by Steve Brandow. There's a few people that are going for that seat now. So I decided that, again, I was committed to Fresno, and I wanted to find ways to give back, to help my community. This was the way that I felt like I could help my community. So I went out there, man. I didn't have any political experience. I just had a bunch of people who told me, hey, man, I think you'll do good in public office. You have a good mind, you have an open mind, you see both sides of the aisle about things. You're a reasonable person. We need people like you in office. And they'll go, really? 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 They give me, yeah. So I said, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. If God wants me to do it, it'll be successful, but I'll go down that road. And I went down that road and I ran for supervisor. I lost, but man, I learned so much about the system, about how things work in politics. And let me tell you, that's a whole nother seminar to go down when we start talking about politics. But yeah, it was an opportunity for me to try to help and give back. And who knows, that door was closed then. It may not be closed 5, 10 years from now. So it could happen again.
Okay. What advice would you give teenage Steve Hosey?
Ooh, teenage Steve Hosey. You know, ironically, it was probably going to be 2 things that have to do with education. Number 1 is I would have paid more attention to the SATs when I was in high school. You know, that was kind of a foreign thing to me. It was kind of a thing, oh, you have to do in order to get to school or in order to play. I didn't study, I didn't prepare, I didn't do anything. Subsequently, after I took it, I was sitting there crossing my fingers going, man, I hope. The first time I took the SAT, I kid you not, I was a 3.5 GPA student in high school. I saw words on that SAT, many words that I had never seen before in my life. And I thought to myself, man, I wish I would have taken this a little bit more seriously. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, when I was at Fresno State, when I should have been a student athlete instead of athlete student, I would have spent more time in my studies. Because later on in life, when I decided to go back and pursue my education, I had that much more time to work to get to where I wanted to be. So take the education that you are offered now as serious as you can, because you do not know when you're going to need it or want it or desire it or anything else. While you're here, make the most of it. When I was in high school, I did not. When I was in college, I did not. Now, I'm fortunate that I have a great work ethic, and I was able to go back, and it cost me a lot. But man, I wish I would have taken more advantage of what I had at that time in my life as a younger Steve Hosey.
All right, no doubt. What advice would you like to leave with these young people today?
Well, number 1, I think growing up in a single family home with a mom, a couple of brothers, my mom worked a lot. My brothers and I were in sports a lot just because, you know, she was trying to keep us out of trouble. But I would say, show respect. Show respect for your parents, or your uncles, your aunts, your grandma, your grandpa, whoever it is that has authority over your life, that's trying to do their best to get you here, to get you fed, to put clothes on your back. Man, you give them all the love you can. Give them all the love that you can. I think I would give you guys that advice, because it starts with that, and it starts with respect. And I remember in the 5th grade, my 5th grade teacher wrote on the board, respect. She had a different acronym for every word, and I learned, man, respect. Because when you're out with your boys, you're playing sports or you're doing different that, you know, everybody's gonna maybe josh you a little bit, talk a little smack or whatever. And as soon as someone don't show you respect, you want to put them up. And you want to get aggressive with someone. But man, you got to respect one another, man. Respect is earned. You can't come in and clowning people and talking about people and then ask them to respect you. So I think as a life lesson, respect the situation that you're in, take advantage of the opportunities that come to you, respect your fellow person, and most of all, respect your parents, your teachers, your coaches. Because I had coaches in my life, man, I'm blessed. You can't tell me I didn't have the best coaches in my life. The example they set for me, we didn't have a coach to hollering and screaming when I was 10, 12 years old, cursing or treating us like this with the 7 days of the World Series. They were generally concerned about how we were going to grow into be young men. To train us, to teach us the game, to have fun, to learn discipline, and to learn respect.
Absolutely. All right, hey, last question. Bill's gonna read here in about 4 minutes. So Steve Hosey, Fresno State legend, former San Francisco Giant, Oakland A's. You also got another famous relative in your family too, right?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. So I'm the shortest and smallest in my family. I'm 6'3", 270. My older brother is 6'6", about 280. My younger brother is 6'7". He's probably closer to 250 now, but I ain't gonna say nothing. But my younger brother played NBA basketball for 19 years. He's the world champion with the Boston Celtics. His name is Paul Pierce. So I tell people all the time, I joke, but the last time we played basketball together, guess who won? I did. But that was when he was in high school. I was playing pro ball. We were playing in the backyard. And it took everything I had to beat him in a two out of three in the backyard. Elbowed me in the nose, almost broke my nose. And man, we were going at it. Then after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the big brother road right here. It's like, I ain't never playing you again. So I can always say the last time we played, I won. Now, here's a funny story. Probably his next to last year in the NBA, he was with the Clippers. And I decided I was at his house, just hanging out with the family. And I said, hey man, you know what? I'm gonna give you your shot, man. Let's go out to the bathroom here. I'm gonna give you a chance to make it up so you can play it now. And he just kind of looked at me sideways like, man, I can't believe you just did that. Well, the only reason why I told him I gave him an opportunity is because he had a boot on his leg. He was on the DL. So I said, hey, I'll give you that shot now. And he was like, yeah, right, okay. So, but anyway, yeah, I like to tell everybody I taught him everything he knows of basketball, but that would be entirely true.
All right, guys, whenever we have that guest on campus, we definitely want to thank them for coming on campus. So, part of that knowledge and wisdom.